There is a point in your body that doctors rarely mention, not because it's dangerous, but because for centuries this knowledge was kept under lock and key, reserved for warriors, emperors, and monks who needed to maintain strength, energy, and vitality far beyond normal aging. This point exists in you right now. And if you are over 60 and you feel that something has changed, that your energy isn't the same, that your body responds more slowly, that your stamina disappears before the end of the day. What I'm going to show you today can change that picture in a way you won't expect. But before I explain what this point is, I need to ask you a question that most men ignore until it's too late. Have you ever stopped to think that the tiredness you feel might not be from lack of sleep? That the sensation that your body has become heavier, slower, and more drained might have a specific, localized cause that no one has pointed out yet? Because there is a mechanism that ancient Chinese physicians knew more than 4,000 years ago. A mechanism that involves a single point in your body. A point that, when activated correctly, communicates directly with the systems that control circulation, hormone production, and deep masculine energy. And modern science is now confirming what those masters already knew. I am Dr. Natália Castro, and if you want to receive important health content for life after 60, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Now, let me tell you what no modern manual teaches and what the Shaolin monks practiced every day before sunrise. In 2697 BC, the Yellow Emperor commissioned what would become the first complete medical treatise in human history. This document, the Huangdi Neijing, or the Yellow Emperor's Inner Classic, took decades to compile and mapped the human body in a way no other civilization had done until then. It identified 365 points scattered throughout the body, each with the ability to influence specific organs, specific functions, and specific states of health. But among all these points, there was one that the imperial physicians called special. A point used exclusively by emperors, generals, and great masters of martial arts. A point so linked to masculine energy that its literal translation means gate of vitality or passage of origin. The Chinese called it Guan Yuan, and the monks of the Shaolin monastery, starting in 495 AD, incorporated the stimulation of this point into their daily training routine every morning before sunrise. These monks who carried this practice were known for something extraordinary. It wasn't just their physical strength that surprised people, it was their longevity. Many of them lived past 90 while maintaining the vigor and mental clarity of men decades younger. And when modern researchers went to investigate what made these monks so different, one of the recurring elements was exactly this: the daily stimulation of that specific point, which modern Chinese acupuncture now calls CV4. But what is CV4 and why does it work? This point is located in the lower abdomen, 4 fingers below the navel, on the center line of the body. Ancient texts described it as the sea of energy, the place where the deepest reserves of the body's vitality are stored and distributed. What Chinese physicians called the lower dantian. And for centuries, this sounded like spiritual metaphor until modern anatomy decided to investigate what was really there. And what science found is exactly what makes this point so relevant for men over 60. CV4 is positioned directly over the hypogastric plexus, a dense network of nerve endings of the autonomic nervous system that directly controls pelvic circulation, hormonal response, and male sexual function. When you stimulate this point correctly, you are activating the parasympathetic nervous system, the same system responsible for repair, recovery, and hormone production that the body performs at rest. And here is the detail that changes everything. With aging, the autonomic nervous system gradually loses responsiveness, becoming less efficient and less precise. When that happens, hormone production drops, peripheral circulation decreases, and the body begins to operate in maintenance mode instead of vitality mode. Regular stimulation of CV4 can help reverse this progression, not because it's magic, but because it is applied anatomy. Now, before I show you the exact technique, and I will show it step by step without leaving anything out, I need you to understand one thing, because most men who try to use this point make a simple mistake that completely cancels out the effect. I'll tell you what that mistake is later, but first tell me in the comments where you're watching this video from. It makes a huge difference to me to know who is here, what part of the country, what part of the world. Leave a quick comment now while you still remember. Let's talk about how to locate this point. Place your palm on the lower abdomen with your little finger touching the navel. The CV4 point will be exactly where your ring finger rests, 4 fingers below the navel on the center line of the body. In most men over 60, this area usually shows slightly more sensitivity than the surrounding tissue. It's not pain, it's a perception of different depth. A light response when you press firmly. That tells you you're in the right place. And here begins the Shaolin monk's technique. Lie on your back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. This position is essential. It relaxes the abdominal muscles and allows the pressure to reach the deepest structures. It doesn't work the same way sitting or standing, lying down, knees flexed. Place the tips of your middle and ring fingers on CV4. Apply firm, substantial pressure, but never painful. You want to feel the pressure penetrating the abdominal cavity, not just the surface. Deep pressure. Now, breathing. This is not a detail, it is the central part of the technique. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 2, exhale for 6. This specific breathing pattern, with a longer exhalation than inhalation, is the direct trigger for the parasympathetic nervous system. It's the same pattern used by elite athletes for recovery activation. When you combine this breathing with pressure on CV4, the effects multiply. Maintain the pressure and breathing for exactly 60 seconds. You may feel warmth in the area, a light tingling, or a gentle pulsing. All of these are positive signs that the neural pathways are responding and that circulation to the region is improving. Don't panic if you feel these sensations. They are good signals. Do this every morning right after waking up. The nervous system is most receptive during the transition from sleep to wakefulness. It's the moment of greatest neural plasticity of the day. But now I need to tell you about the mistake I mentioned earlier. Remember I said most men get something simple wrong? That mistake has a name: excessive pressure. There is a very understandable male belief that more pressure means better results. That if something works with firmness, it will work even better with force. With CV4, that logic doesn't apply. The point responds to consistent, moderate pressure, not brute force. Applying too much pressure tenses the surrounding muscles, closes the nerve channels that should be open, and cancels the effect you're seeking. Firm, not strong. There is a huge difference between the two. The second mistake is inconsistency. This point works through nervous system conditioning, and nervous system conditioning requires daily repetition. Skipping days doesn't just slow progress. It undoes the progress you've already made. The Shaolin monks practiced this every single morning without exception, not because they were fanatics, but because they knew the body learns through repetition, not intensity. And the third mistake, this one is the most silent, is expecting immediate results. Some men feel changes already in the first week. Most feel the deeper changes between the second and fourth week. The body doesn't transform overnight, but it does transform. And when it does, you'll recognize the effortless energy that appears, the more restorative sleep, the stamina that doesn't vanish before noon. Week by week, here's what consistent practice can deliver. In the first week, you'll feel the neural activation during the practice, the warmth, tingling, pulsing. These signals show that the neural pathway is responding. Outside of practice, energy levels begin to stabilize throughout the day. Fewer peaks and crashes, more constancy. In the second week, morning circulation improves noticeably. Many men report that morning function, the clinical indicator of male hormonal health, starts to recover. In the third week, the cumulative effects become evident. Sustained energy, deeper sleep, a feeling of vitality that feels familiar, as if the body is returning to a state that was normal years ago. In the fourth week and beyond, the benefits consolidate as the nervous system adapts to regular stimulation. But here's what the Shaolin monks did to amplify the effects even further, and I haven't told you this yet. They discovered that consuming a specific combination 20 minutes before practicing CV4 prepared the autonomic nervous system for maximum response. Not just any combination, a 3-ingredient formula they called the energy formula: green tea, powdered ginger, and dried dates. Prepare a cup of green tea. Add half a teaspoon of powdered ginger while the tea is still hot, and eat 3 dried dates with the drink. The science behind this combination is precise. Green tea contains L-theanine, an amino acid that produces a state of calm alertness, not sedation, but clarity. The nervous system becomes more receptive, less reactive, and more available for the kind of modulation that CV4 technique triggers. It's the opposite of pure caffeine. No anxiety, no spike and crash. Ginger boosts peripheral blood circulation and increases the sensitivity of nerve receptors. Studies show that ginger compounds, especially gingerols, have a direct effect on pelvic circulation, the exact region CV4 influences. It's no coincidence that the Shaolin monks arrived at this combination centuries before science could explain the mechanism. Dried dates provide slow-absorbing fructose, specific fuel for the nervous system that doesn't cause a glycemic spike. The brain needs glucose to function. The type of glucose matters. Refined sugar rises fast and crashes even faster. Dates provide stable, sustained energy that lasts the entire duration of the practice without leaving the nervous system oscillating. 20 minutes before, not after, not during, 20 minutes before CV4 practice. When you combine this formula with the pressure and breathing technique, what you're doing is creating the ideal conditions for parasympathetic activation. The body's already prepared before the practice even begins. The response is deeper. The effects are longer lasting. A medical guide to avoid mistakes that damage the prostate after 60 is available in the pinned comment below this video. Now, I need you to stay with me for a few more minutes because there's a connection most men don't notice between what I just taught you and a system that directly affects prostate health. CV4 is anatomically positioned over a nerve field that governs not only male sexual function, but also prostate regulation. The hypogastric plexus that this point stimulates is not specific to one organ, it's a network, and the prostate is inside that network. What Chinese physicians call the kidney channel and bladder channel passing through CV4 correspond in modern anatomical mapping to the nerve pathways that control both erectile response and the tone of prostate muscle. When these pathways become understimulated, as naturally happens with aging and sedentary lifestyle, the prostate loses part of the nervous regulation that keeps it healthy. And here's the disturbing part. Most of the prostate problems that appear after 60 don't happen suddenly. They arise from a slow, silent deterioration that begins years earlier and only shows up when the damage is already installed. The man who today feels the need to urinate many times at night. The man who notices his stream has lost pressure. The man who wakes up tired after sleeping 8 hours. These are not signs of inevitable old age. They are signs that the autonomic nervous system has stopped regulating what it should regulate, and that circulation to the pelvic region is compromised. And now you understand why the technique I taught you is not just about general energy or vague vitality. It's about a specific system, a specific mechanism that you can start activating tomorrow morning before you even get out of bed. But let me be direct with you about something important. This practice does not replace medical evaluation. If you have abdominal conditions, recent surgeries, or pain in the pelvic region, consult your doctor before starting any pressure technique in this area. The CV4 technique is powerful precisely because it influences real physiological systems, and exactly for that reason, it should be practiced with awareness. Never apply pressure that causes pain. Never. The correct intensity is firm, deep, and completely comfortable. If it hurts, you are either at the wrong point or pressing too hard. There is also a detail few men know that completely changes the effectiveness of the technique. The time you practice matters far more than most people imagine. The Shaolin monks practiced before dawn, and it was not arbitrary tradition. There was a precise physiological reason. Cortisol, the alertness hormone, begins to rise naturally in the early morning hours, preparing the body for the day's activity. But before that peak occurs, there is a window of approximately 30 to 45 minutes right after waking when the nervous system is in a unique state. Leaving the parasympathetic dominance of sleep, but not yet fully in the sympathetic dominance of active wakefulness. It is in this window that CV4 responds best. It is in this window that the 4-2-6 breathing has the greatest impact on the autonomic nervous system. It is in this window that stimulation of the hypogastric plexus encounters the least hormonal noise and the greatest neural receptivity. Practicing right after waking is not a preference, it is a physiological strategy. And when you add the Shaolin formula 20 minutes before, that is, prepare the mixture before doing anything else upon waking, drink it, wait the 20 minutes, and then practice CV4. You are using the exact same protocol that allowed the monks who lived to 90 with the body of 60-year-old men. Going back to the question I left open at the beginning, you asked or wanted to ask, what is this tiredness that isn't from lack of sleep? Now you have the answer. It is the gradual deterioration of the responsiveness of the autonomic nervous system. It is the reduction of pelvic circulation. It is the drop in the nerve signaling that coordinates hormone production, muscle tone, and male sexual function. And it is the absence of a simple practice that took 4,000 years to develop and takes only 60 seconds per day to perform. 1.1 technique, 1-3 ingredient formula. This is not mysticism. It is anatomy that the imperial physicians discovered long before the Western world had words to describe what they were seeing. And before I finish, I need to make one last observation about something that connects directly to what I just taught you. Because if you practice CV4 to improve circulation and vitality, there is a dietary factor that may be silently sabotaging everything. There is a food that most men over 60 consume, thinking they are doing something good, but that is actually creating direct inflammation in the prostate tissue and compromising exactly the type of circulation that today's technique stimulates. I've already recorded an entire video explaining exactly that. Which foods protect the prostate and which cause silent damage after 60. It's appearing here in the corner of the screen now. Watch it next because what you'll learn there is the natural continuation of what I just taught you. The CV4 technique opens circulation. What you eat determines whether that circulation arrives clean or inflamed. Take care of yourself. I'll be here.